Thank you for joining this presentation on Aurion Resources. Aurion is a Canadian-listed company exploring for gold in northern Finland. Aurion has made several high-grade discoveries in an area where an emerging gold camp is quickly developing. As I go through this presentation, I'd like to ask you to consider a couple of topics. First, what would a major gold mining camp in the future look like today at the very early stages of discovery? And second, on value, what would be the value of owning a dominant land position in an emerging gold camp? For example, if you could go back in time and stake the majority of the Kirkland Lake or Timmins regions 75 years ago, what would be the value of owning that? Please consider these topics as I go through the presentation. Just a warning, I will be making forward-looking statements. Over a very short time period in Finland, Aurion has made several high-grade, near-surface gold discoveries within its district-scale land package. What began with the discovery of thousands of high-grade boulders has evolved into several drilling discoveries. Major gold companies have taken notice of our success. Kinross and Newmont Gold Corp are among our big shareholders, and we also have joint ventures with B2 Gold and Kinross. These large companies have recognized the extensive land package we have put together, the camp scale potential of the entire district, and the high-grade earlier discoveries that Aurion has already made. Our valuation is also quite attractive at the moment. Briefly looking at our capital structure, after our recent financing, Aurion is fully funded for all of our planned activities. Our largest shareholder is Kinross, owning 10%. And Kinross acquired their initial position back in 2017 through a competitive process where they outbid other major companies. Also, the interests of management are well aligned with our shareholders. Management is the largest ownership group. But beyond Kinross and management, we have a strong registry of well-known investors. If we take a look at our valuation, a couple of years ago, our shares were trading materially higher while the sector was trading lower, and it was suggested by some that we were overvalued or fully valued. Since then, tables have turned dramatically. The sector has seen a resurgence while Aurion shares have fallen. Our projects, meanwhile, have only gotten better. The main reason for this disconnect is that we weren't able to put out any results on our flagship property, Amarusco, last year due to COVID and our inability to work there. This has set up a very attractive risk-reward opportunity as we are in a prime position to close that valuation gap as we return to drilling at our flagship property, Amarusco. Our projects are located in the central Lapland Greenstone belt, and this belt resembles other major greenstone belts in the world in both scale and geology. The big difference is that in those other major greenstone belts, many millions of ounces have been found over many deposits. However, in the central Lapland belt, there has been only one major discovery, and that is Agnico Eagle's 8 million ounce Kittilä mine. The main difference, or the main reason for this, is that in Finland, Finland was closed to foreign investment until 1995, shortly after they joined the European Union. While those other belts flourished for decades, mining in Finland was controlled by state entities looking solely for base metals. And as a result, we are now in a sweet spot, as large, never explored areas exist that are very highly prospective. We believe in the not too distant future, we will see numerous discoveries made, and this graph will look very similar to the other graphs. Beyond geology, Finland provides a safe, stable jurisdiction and excellent infrastructure. We can fly commercially to mining communities and drive right to our sites. The company's land covers 80 kilometers along a crustal scale structure called the Serpentine zone, and that's that black jagged line on the page there. This structure resembles structures around some of the most prominent gold camps in the world, such as the Porcupine-Dester Fault in Timmins. 3 major discoveries have in fact been made and are located close to our projects. Europe's largest gold mine, Kittilä, owned by Agnico Eagle, Boliden's Kevitsa nickel-copper mine, and Anglo's Sakatti discovery, which is located just 10 kilometers from our Risti property. We are also seeing a growing number of gold occurrences along this structure. In this area, 5 years ago, only a few gold occurrences had been discovered, but in a short time frame since then, More than 20 gold occurrences have now been discovered by Aurion and others. The first significant gold discovery since Agnico's Kittilä mine was in fact made by Aurion at Amarusco in 2018, and it is located at the center of our Risti property. And last year, Aurion Resources made their exciting Akari discovery, which is located right near the border of our B2 Gold joint venture area. We'll now briefly look at that discovery that Aurion Resources made. Rupert made the Akari discovery in May last year, and it has quickly generated hundreds of millions of dollars of value as demonstrated by this stock chart. A discovery of this scale demonstrates the prospectivity of the entire region. Akari is located very close to our joint venture property boundary, with the closest drill hole, in fact, being only 50 meters away from our boundary. It is a sign of a strong gold system that gold occurrences are hosted in different lithologies in structures around that major shear zone. Our Amarusco discovery is mainly hosted in quartz veins in clastic sediments, while on the other hand, Rupert's Akari discovery is mainly hosted in highly deformed and altered sequence of mafic and ultramafic rocks. This same geological sequence that hosts gold mineralizations at Akari is interpreted to continue 8 kilometers or more than 8 kilometers to the west onto our joint venture property. And that same setting also appears to continue as it wraps around to our own 100% area onto the 15 kilometers on the northeast part of our Risti property. Aurion has discovered a tremendous footprint of surface samples with high grade. If you look at the size of both Risti and Launi, you could easily fit world-class gold camps in each of those properties. If you look at the many colorful dots on this slide, they represent the many boulders and outcrop found right at surface. The other areas without those colorful surface sample dots mainly comprise mafic and ultramafic rocks that erode easier than the sediments. And those areas are quite prospective for the existence of mafic and ultramafic hosted gold mineralizations similar to the Akari discovery. Our most advanced discovery is Amarusco. We first made our boulder discovery here, which is shown by the colorful dots in the middle of this slide that form sort of a V shape from that hill that is in the background there. We have found over 1,200 boulders that average 25 grams per ton gold over a 1 kilometer by 1.5 kilometer area. One of the sources of those boulders that we have identified is the Amarusco main area, and that's to the right of the hill on the slide there, where drilling has returned fantastic intercepts, including 789 grams per ton gold over 2.9 meters. The discovery hole was drilled in 2018. And in 2019, we discovered the northwest area on the top left of the hill on the slide there. And we drilled holes there such as 9.4 grams per ton over 28 meters. And then in 2020, we began drilling the gap zone between those areas. We had completed only 2 holes before COVID shut us down, and we had to bring our Canadian drillers and crew home. We'll note, if you look at that, we're on a hill there, and that's the only area in our properties that we have to have helicopter-supported drilling, and therefore it's a little bit more challenging. And that's why we had to, for the remainder of 2020, we chose to conduct a regional program as COVID, like I said, kicked us off of there. The lack of news flow from this Amarusco during 2020 contributed to our lower share price performance. However, this year, we're going to get back to Amarusco and drill test the continuity of the gold zones in the main areas and the northwest areas, and other target areas such as the gap zone. The drilling so far extends over a strike length of 1 kilometer, but only to a depth of 150 meters. And as you can see by those arrows, there is plenty of room to grow there as they are open at depth and along strike. In our Launi area, our Launi property covers 14,000 hectares and is located just south of Risti. Launi saw its first exploration ever in 2019 when our team collected 2,300 samples averaging 4.2 grams per ton gold along this 5.5 kilometer long trend. In 2020, we had our first drilling campaigns testing some of the surface indications and 1 blind geophysical target. We have not yet had a major drilling hit here yet, but we have intersected zones of gold in most drill holes, including intercepts such as 3.05 grams per ton gold over 5.3 meters at the hinge zone target. We have made rapid progress considering that 2 years ago, Launi had never seen any exploration. From a geological perspective, we have so far covered only the area to the west and north-south of the trending structure, and during this year, we will expand our activities. Several valuable components comprise Aurion. Aurion owns 12% of a vanadium play called Strategic Resources, and we also have our joint venture with Kinross. On our joint venture with B2 Gold covers a significant area with multiple prospects, and again, it's right next to that Akari discovery. And we also, of course, have our 100% owned Risti and Launi properties, which also already host a number of gold occurrences, including Amarusco. The value of Aurion is arguably significantly less than the sum of the parts. The B2 Gold joint venture alone would potentially have a significant value when comparing it to other companies with joint venture projects of similar scale. As for our plans and catalysts in 2021, we're going to get back to Amarusco and drill test the continuation of the high-grade zones and to test new targets. Amarusco will be our main focus in 2021. But we will also drill test selected prospects such as follow-up drilling at the Hinge Zone and Launi East. And we will continue to explore regionally. Our target is to make multiple discoveries. Our team provides a blend of technical and capital markets expertise. And now I'd like to remind you of those two topics I mentioned in the beginning. If you consider time, what would a future major gold mining camp look like today at the early stages of discovery and development? And on value, what would be the value of owning a dominant land position in a with high-grade discoveries in an emerging gold camp? If you had the opportunity to go back in time and discover a camp such as Timmins 75 to 100 years ago, what would be the value of owning that? We believe that we are at the core of an emerging gold camp and provide a compelling opportunity. We are excited to be at the right place at the right time. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to meeting with you virtually at the conference to discuss our prospects further. Thank you.